Morning. Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you're all happy, healthy, and doing the things that you love with the people that you love doing them with. And yesterday was one of those times when you get to do the things that you love with the people that you love. Watching Tottenham on a Saturday night take on Everton. And look, despite it being a frustrating affair, coming away with the 3 points in what ended up being a comfortable victory due to a remarkable improvement in the second half that led to Tottenham having their best ever opening 10 games in Premier League era. 23 points now, sitting third, level with Manchester City, a point behind Arsenal. Both of those teams have got tough games this afternoon, so it'll be interesting to see how both of those teams do. But for the time being, let's focus on Tottenham. I'm not going to spend too long today, guys. I know that 11-12 minutes is really the right amount of time to be doing one of these walks with you guys. So let's start by making a request. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, it means the world to me. And I want to say thank you to everybody that has been getting engaged on the content over the last few months. The subscriber count's growing really quickly and the engagement is fantastic. I really appreciate it. I love getting to know each and every one of you. The people that disagree with me and people that agree with me, you're all very much welcome on the Spurs Talk Show. We have zero echo chambers. All opinions, as long as they're respectful and delivered in a constructive manner, are encouraged and appreciated. Guys, look, the game is a tale of two halves, right? We came out fighting strong, 3-4-3. I wasn't particularly pleased with the lineup. I wasn't particularly excited about Ben Davies playing on the left of the three at the back when you have Perisic in front of him and you have Sonny in front of him. I've spoken a lot over the last 6 weeks about the consequences of Perisic and Sonny being on the same team together in a 3-4-3, in that it creates an overload from the defence, from the opposition, to throw more attention that way, which cramps space, and that Perisic is more likely to run with the ball than, say, Sessegnon is into the areas that Sonny would like to receive it normally and have a bit more space. And so I've come across like it's Perisic's fault, and I never mean it like that. I just mean that there's consequences to that decision. And one of the things that I thought that became clear in the first half yesterday, which I hadn't noticed before, and Dave and Jack from the Irish Hotspur and I were talking about it during the game, and maybe another factor that increases that whole kind of compression of space is when Ben Davies is playing at left-sided centre-back, because Ben Davies has a style of play where when the ball is down the left, he seems to kind of maraud and stroll without the ball quite far forward, and sometimes it's a decoy run, sometimes it's there to help Perisic or Sonny out, but ultimately I think it increases again the compression and the lack of space that exists down that left hand side. Now, I'm not saying that Ben Davies had a bad game yesterday. I'm not saying that Perisic or Sonny did. I thought all three of them, especially in the second half, were really, really good. But that was the first time in the entirety of the season that I think I could say that about those, at least the two of them. And I have to do a bit more research to see if that idea that formed in my head about Perisic and Sonny was consistent when Ben Davies was playing as well. Because Longley doesn't do that. Longley doesn't naturally just drift into that forward position as frequently as Ben Davies does when we have the ball. He's more of someone that's more likely to run with the ball at his feet or distribute it faster and with more zip to it than what Ben Davies does. So it's another thing that I've just noticed, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time digging around. But you know what, yesterday in the second half at least, it didn't matter. The three of them were part of an entire team that improved dramatically. I'm not going to say from the moment Richarlison was injured, but from the start of the second half, I think that once again Antonio Conte must have gone in at half-time and given them the rollicking of a career, because they came out and the same 11 players looked like a different team. Nothing had substantially or significantly changed. There was no substitutions. The formation was the same, but from the start of the second half until the 90th minute, Tottenham looked like the real deal. A team that can play super attractive, energetic, fast-paced football that generates opportunities and were well worthy winners at the end. And the question marks then have to be asked around why does it take that half-time dressing down for that to happen? Because the first half, absent the first 10 minutes when Tottenham were on the front foot and everything looked quite rosy, suddenly around the 10-mark minute, Tottenham went to sleep, looked disinterested, and the pace of the passing was frustratingly slow, and there was just this constant recycling from left to right. And every time it got to the right-hand side in the first half, Matt Doherty looked either disinterested or very nervous and lacking confidence. It was only in the 43rd minute or whatever it was when he went on that interesting run down the right-hand side and drew the yellow card from, I think it's the Ukrainian left back, I think it was. But apart from that, he didn't do anything in the first half. Some defensive capabilities for sure, but nothing going forward. And listen, I'm not going to hold him accountable, guys, because I actually feel like the rest of the team in the first half were pretty below par as well. Sonny was the only player that I thought looked interested and engaged, and maybe Bentancur. The rest of the team I thought was just, give them a 5 out of 10 across the board. Then something happened in the second half. Antonio Conte must have given, I think, some individual rollickings and one to the team as well. You noticed when Matt Doherty came off at the end, the hug that he gave Matt Doherty, and apparently he said something like, "Now you're the player that I need," or "Now that's the player that I remember," something to those effects. Man, that hug was special, wasn't it? I don't think I've ever had anybody hug me the way that Conte hugged Doherty last night. It was quite powerful. And, hopefully that's the catalyst to see Matt Doherty, get back into his old style. If you remember, I think it was against the Man City game last year when he came on and he made a block in like the 92nd minute, and it stopped an absolute certain goal for them, and he stood up and he kind of went, yeah, like to himself, so proud of himself for doing something right rather than making a mistake. And I think, if my timeline serves me correctly in my head, that was the catalyst for him to go on that period of 6 or 7 games where he just played fantastic, attractive and attacking football, and gave us a glimpse of the sort of player that that we all wanted to see out of him. So maybe a moment like yesterday, when he has a very quiet, disappointing, nervy first half, and then has someone dress him down, then come out and put that sort of shape and performance in, and then get that recognition from his manager after the game. I hope that might be the catalyst to get his confidence back up, and to see him do what he did in that period between middle of February and April last season. Look, the other takeaways, obviously the injury to Richarlison changed the game, because we were forced into an early substitution, and an early substitution that changed the tactic, changed the formation. He had the choice, Conte, to bring on Lucas Moura for a straight swap for Richarlison. He didn't take it. He went to a 3-5-2, bringing on Bissouma. And I want to spend a couple of seconds shouting out Bissouma, because he hasn't had a great transition into the Premier League wearing a Tottenham shirt since he left Brighton. We haven't seen anything like the level of performances from him. But yesterday, in that 40 minutes that he played, or 38 minutes that he played, he was fantastic. And whilst I couldn't hear the commentary because I was doing a watch along, I really hope that the Tottenham fans got behind him when he made that initial, lung bursting run backwards and got in there, and I forget who he dispossessed, but it was absolutely superb. I hope the Tottenham fans appreciated that, because his confidence then grew and plays a very important role in the 3-5-2. Sitting back and tidying things up allows for Bentancur and Højbjerg to have this confidence to go forward and be more creative, be more inventive with their football. To levels that, most of us didn't think that Pierre-Emile Højbjerg had that side to his game. Despite him always using it when he plays for his international team in the Euros, for example, he plays a slightly more advanced role, but for Tottenham he's always played in the 6. And so to see him have that confidence to be able to get forward and do what he does and do what he did last night, it adds a whole nother dimension. And I think part of the reason why it works so well is because most opposition teams at the moment are not preparing their defensive setup during the week leading up to the Tottenham fixture, imagining that Højbjerg is a very offensive threat. They're going to spend their time running tape and reviewing Sonny and Perisic and Kane and Richarlison or Decky, whoever's fit. But I don't think they're going to spend too much time reminding the players, keep an eye on Højbjerg's late runs into the box, or keep an eye on Højbjerg, when he's on the ball and what he likes to do with his creative stuff, because it's not something that has been commonly seen from Højbjerg over the last 2.5 years, or even when he was at Southampton. And so I think I keep mentioning it on the channel, another layer of unpredictability that Tottenham can use to our advantage. The 3-5-2 for me works very well, either as a starting strategy or as a pivot. I think that Sonny and Perisic can work very well together when they play in a 3-5-2 because there's naturally more space on the left anyway. I think that Højbjerg and Bentancur can play with a level of confidence and reassurance that they've got someone behind them should it not necessarily work out. I don't think Richarlison works on the right hand side at all. Once again, I'm really sorry and sad that he's got an injury that might destroy his World Cup dream. It's a horrible thing for him to happen, but from a Tottenham perspective, and take this with the intention or take this with the kind of energy that it's intended. From Tottenham's perspective, it might be a blessing in disguise, because until Decky is back fit, that injury may force Conte's hand into sticking with the formation that works the best right now, and that is 3-5-2 unless Decky's fit. If Decky's fit, then you can go to the 3-4-3. But until that happens, I think 3-5-2 brings the best out of certain players, allows the best players to play together and them not get in each other's way, and it allows for greater utilisation of our summer transfers like Bissouma, who can do wonders for Tottenham if he has the minutes to get the confidence that he needs to be able to play to the level that we know he can play to. Honourable mentions to Christian Romero. I thought he was absolutely superb last night, and Dave Harris and I share a theory that for him to play well, he needs to absolutely crunch somebody in the first 10-15 minutes to kind of get that nervous energy out of his system. And he did that yesterday, and I thought he was superb. He was superb going forward. He was superb getting back. When he lost the ball, he gave the ball away. He made a mistake in the first half and then flew back at 100 miles an hour. Absolutely superb from him. As I say, Matt Doherty looked like a different player in the second half to the first. Perisic and Sonny worked together for the first time. I thought Ben Davies actually had a very good second half. I didn't think he was that spectacular in the first half, but nobody was. Harry Kane just brilliant again. The last thing I'd say about Harry Kane is I do think he needs to be a little bit less predictable with his penalty kicks. I know he missed one last week, and so in order to get that monkey off his chest, he probably felt like he needs to go to his happy place, his safe place, which is bottom left-hand corner. But I do think it's becoming a little bit obvious. I think the last four goalkeepers we've faced have all gone that way, and so mixing it up wouldn't go amiss, because it takes the perfect penalty to get into the side netting to avoid a goalkeeper that knows 9 times out of 10 you're going to go in that direction. I'd like to see him mix it up, but listen, that's not a big concern because he scores nearly every single penalty he takes. Shame about Richarlison, but listen, as I say, I hope he gets fit. I hope he makes it to the World Cup. I hope it's not a serious injury. But I just don't think he works in the right. I think he and Doherty or Emerson have not found any kind of cohesion or chemistry, and that is something that is important and necessary between the right wing back and the wing forward if you're playing in a 3-4-3. And like I say, I think that with his injury, it now forces Conte's hand into going to the 3-5-2, and there's all sorts of benefits that can come from that. And if it doesn't work, we can then pivot and go back to a 3-4-3 by bringing on Lucas Moura or Brian Hill or whatever. Lots more to talk about, guys, but I've been going for 16 minutes and I thought trying to keep these ones a little bit shorter. Listen, great start to the season. Great start to the Champions League group. Massive game against Manchester United away on Wednesday. So much to talk about, and now that I've at least tested my live stream on Friday night with Dave and it worked, I feel a little bit more confident I can do some live streams during the day and during the early evening, so look out for those, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me? 3-5-2 is the way forward? Yeah, drop a comment. Keep the conversation going. Like, share and subscribe. And as always, guys, bye-bye.